Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, but you can call me Pajama Grandma. Finally practicing. Finally practicing what? In this episode, I just want to talk really briefly because I've got a whole lot going on this week, next week, and the week after. Outside of myself, stuff for other people, but that I need to play a crucial role in too. And so I want to just briefly talk about what I'm working on the side for my own projects and for building my own online businesses as I transition from the offline brick and mortar world to the online world. And today I'm finally practicing storytelling because I realized I stink at telling stories. I've never been a great storyteller. I'm super boring. I am super serious. I take myself way too seriously. And I tell myself I'm not a good storyteller. So I am making a concerted effort to practice telling stories. I just finished telling a story about my health, how I went from being dead to still being here talking today, and what I had to do from a health standpoint. And I'm using a particular format of telling a story. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about wealth, and then the following day I'll talk about relationships on my supersize business page because I want to practice telling different types of stories. We are full of experiences and knowledge and wisdom, but if we just tell people the answer, if we just go straight to the facts, which is hard for me because I am just get to the point. Don't tell me a story. And this was a bone of contention with me and my ex. He would go round and around and around, and if I asked a question, he'd start over again. Drives a person like me nuts because I'm like, give me the answer, get to the point. I need to know the meat, the heart of the story, so I can take action on it. Well, that doesn't always work because when we just tell people the answer, they may or may not get it at a deep enough level to actually go ahead and apply it. And as much as I hate to admit it, that's true for me as well. If someone tells me something, a technique or a strategy, or teaches me a lesson or shows me an example of how an engineering principle works, I will totally get it. If I see it working and explained, I will totally get it. If I get my hands in there and dig in and actually do it myself, I will 100% get it. It's kind of like driving to a destination versus riding to a destination. We have a cabin up north, and I have driven to it twice in, oh my gosh, I think we've had it for, 10 years now. And probably at least 10 years. And I've only driven there twice ever. And so I don't know where anything is up by the cabin. I don't really know because I'm not paying attention. I'm not consciously paying attention when we go from place to place to place up at the cabin. But when I drive, I 100% pay attention, and I know and I experience it myself. So I know where places are then. It's the same kind of thing with this. If I'm telling a story, then I am getting actively involved in the storytelling. I'm getting actively involved. I am involving and engaging, just like when I'm driving, in the information. And when I am actively engaged in the information, I will understand how to apply that. I will know how to get to where I want to go. I will know the directions, and I'll be able to use that information so much more easily in my life. So I'm practicing telling stories in a format taught by Russell Brunson in his book, Expert Secrets, called The Epiphany Bridge Story, or the Hero's Two Journeys, which is what all great movies are based on. Every great movie, every super blockbuster movie has been based on this format and the Hero's Two Journeys. And I'm going to forget his name, but the gentleman that taught that and teaches that also taught Will Smith and many other people in Hollywood how to actually use this strategy to tell a great story. And this works in anything. Anytime we want to tell a story or share information with people, anytime we want to convey a message to people, this could be a sales message. It could be just a lesson learned story. It could be a coaching call or a coaching message. We can use it to get our children to do what we want them to do. It's an incredibly powerful strategy. And it's just a simple 8-step strategy. The first step is your backstory. Why do people care? You start your story because our lives are one big story, one big experience after another, and then what and how we interpret that and what we think that means for us and for our life. So our backstory, we need to go back to a place in time where probably the person that we're talking to is. So if I'm sharing a story with my kids, for example, say I don't want my daughter to smoke. well, I never smoked, so it's hard for me to find a story, but I do have a story about smoking. The first and only time my girlfriends and I ever tried to smoke in high school. So I could go back to that backstory and share that story with her. So I need to go to a point in time that makes sense and is relevant to the person that I'm telling this story to. Then the second step is, what are my desires? What do I want? What did I want externally to achieve? And what did I want internally to achieve? So in the I don't want my daughter to smoke story, I would go back and tell her about my first experience smoking. I would then explain to her my external desire of, wishing that she wouldn't smoke or not wanting her to smoke. And remember, we can only be motivated and wish and control things for ourselves. We can never control things for other people. We can tell stories to try to influence and help them come to their own conclusions, but we can't ever do anything or say anything or manipulate people. I mean, we can't. It's just people are always able to exercise their own free will and to decide and make choices for themselves. So in this case, the next step is step 2 is desire, an internal desire and an external desire. What do you want internally and externally? Me, I want my daughter to be healthy and live a long, wonderful life. And again, it's easier if you're doing something for yourself than for other people. So maybe this isn't the best example that I came up with. But the next step is then a wall. So what happens in all good stories or all good movies, and if you think about this, you'll notice that the person that's telling the story or the hero of the story is introducing themselves. You hear a little bit or see a little bit about their backstory. Then you learn a little bit about what they want and what desires they want. Then usually within the first 10 minutes or so of a story or a movie, they go on a journey, some kind of journey. And it might be a journey for, think of Frodo in The Lord of the Rings. He went on the journey to, which was several movies long, to throw the ring into I can't remember, the Mordor or something, the fiery volcano pits of Mordor. And I've seen the movie several times, so it's sad that I don't remember that. I usually fall asleep during it. I admit it. It's a long time walking through those hills and things. But they hit a wall. They hit a wall that means that they have to go on a journey. They know that they're in a position that they're not going to get what they want staying and doing the same thing that they've always done. They need to do something different. So they go on a journey after they hit this wall, and they have a realization. The epiphany is the next step, step 4, that they need to go on this journey, that they need to change something. Then they devise a plan of how they're going to change this thing or experience this thing. So, with Frodo and the 7 or 8, I think it was 7 people that he went on the journey with initially, they made a plan of how they were going to go together and travel together and journey to get the ring to Mordor so that it could be destroyed once and for all. Then there were conflicts along the way, lots of conflicts along the way in that particular story and in every story that we can imagine. So what conflicts, what things come up that cause you little bumps or obstacles in the road of executing your plan? And we all have those in everyday life and in everything that we try to do. And then the next step is achievement. Did you get your goal or not? Did you achieve what it was that you wanted to achieve? Did I get my daughter to quit smoking? Well, not yet. Did I, and I can't do that again, that's 100% up to her, but I can continue to share stories with her that encourage her to not smoke. And I got a new one this weekend as I put her grandmother in the ICU because she's got pneumonia and COPD and emphysema from smoking for decades. And so either I achieved my goal or I didn't. Either I achieved what I was wishing to achieve or not. And then finally, probably the most important step, and the reason we watch any story or listen to any story is because we want to know the transformation that the character that we joined in the beginning went through. And, even if they do or do not achieve their goal, we don't care about that so much as the person that they've become as they've gone on this journey. And so what actually happened? What was the outcome of this? So I'm sharing stories using that format. Today I shared health, the transformation from my health, going from my sudden cardiac arrest to still being here talking to you today. Tomorrow I'm going to share something about a wealth transformation, and the day after that I'll share a relationship transformation. Probably about my divorce, because that's one of the biggest stories that a lot of people have in common, and how that worked and impacted my life and who I was before and who I am now. That was my transformation. Who I was before my health experience and who I am now. That was my transformation. Totally different. Who I was before and who I am now with respect to wealth. And I picked these 3 areas because they're the 3 main objections or motivating things that cause us to do anything. We do things because of our health, our wealth, and our relationships. How we think those things will be impacted. That's how we make the vast majority of our decisions and choices. And then status, how we feel about ourselves as well. But health, wealth, and relationships is closely tied to how we feel about ourselves. So I am practicing, and I'll tell you, it's super duper hard for me. I totally suck at it. And I know I suck at it, and that's why I have to practice. So bear with me as I work to get better at sharing stories and coming up with examples and understanding how the people that I'm talking to, you, will benefit from me sharing my stories in a way that is powerful and impactful to you, not in a way that I just cut to the point and cut to the chase and want to hear a story, or I just want the answer. So many of us, and I know I'm not alone in this, so many of us just want the answer, but we forget that by just wanting the answer, that's why the vast majority of people don't implement and take action on the things that they know. There is so much information in the world right now. There's anything and everything you would possibly imagine ever wanting to know how to do, you can find out how to do. There's YouTube, there's Google, there's the internet, there's anything that we can imagine doing, someone else has probably already done before. And even if it's a twist and unique, we can still learn parts of that from other people and other things and other situations. The information's out there, but if we don't get the information in a way that works for us so that we can assimilate that information and use it, it's just a lot of noise. And so in order to avoid the noise, I want to learn how to communicate my information, because I know I have incredible stories and incredible things that can really help people, and they need to hear it so that they don't have to go through all the crap that I've gone through in my life. Because some of it, although every bit of it I love and appreciate and have learned from and grown from, I don't ever want anyone I know and love and care about to have to go through some of the crap I've gone through. Absolutely, positively do not ever want that I don't want it for most human beings. Most human beings should not have to die in order to change their life. And if I can save and share my story in a way that helps even just one person to prevent that and get off that treadmill, that hamster wheel of massive stress and massive action that is going in the wrong direction and doesn't feed their soul, then I will have fulfilled my intention and my purpose by learning to be a better storyteller. That's it. Go out, make it a fantastic day. I'm going to tell you another story tomorrow, and I'm going to keep telling stories till I get good at it and I feel comfortable doing it. And I encourage you to do the same. Find ways to communicate with other people to enhance your relationships and make the world a better place, because in the end, we're here to experience this life as only we uniquely can and share that with other people, because the more we are our authentic selves, the more you be you, the more you give permission to everybody else around you to be themselves too. And that is ultimately our deepest, most heartfelt desire, is to just be ourselves and experience this world and love ourselves and love one another. That's it. I'll catch you tomorrow.